Hey everybody, Dan here from Up and Go with Muffins. I just want to say that this episode here is all about the medical industry and the stuff that goes on within it. And so we do talk about quite a few deep topics and quite a few dark topics. So if you find stuff like death and crashes and major injuries quite uncomfortable, I'd recommend not listening to this episode or just being wary and ready to pause or skip as you're listening. But if that stuff doesn't faze you, then I do recommend that you listen to it because it was quite an interesting episode and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening.
And one and two and two and one. Oh, shucks, I can't dance.
Hello everybody, welcome to Up and Go with Muffins. My name is Dan, and with me, as always, is my persistent co-host, Ethan. Welcome, Ethan.
Persistent co-host?
Well,
That
you're
doesn't
persistently on the show with me.
But that sounds like it's like I've got to be replaced every show.
Maybe I will replace
He's not like our special guests who we can interchange every episode. Like this one we're doing! As we've got two special guests. We've got Spookus and then our dear friend Sarah.
Hey,
Yes, welcome
Hello,
Luke
everyone.
and Sarah. Welcome to the show.
good to be back. Good to be back.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am quite excited for this show because, for those who don't know, both Sarah and Luke work in the medical industry. Different areas of the medical industry, but they still both work in there. And so we're just going to interview them, more or less. Ask them thoughts about different things.
Yeah, it was scary enough being interviewed for my position. I've got to do it again.
That's the question. How I actually don't know what what's the word?
Well, add that to your list
Protocol?
of
Like
questions.
the process. Yeah. I don't know the process for like signing up to be a paramedic or a radiologist.
How
or
about
just-
I interview you and I'll see if you can...
It's quite simple, Dan. You walk up to the ambo station and you go, wee-woo box, please. And they go, yes.
I mean, you're
you walk up
close.
in your
That
pajamas,
Close.
like,
Yeah.
please put me in the driver's seat.
Cozy life.
Okay. Yeah, but because you're a first-time guest, Sarah, we have to ask you some mandatory questions.
Oh, of course.
Obligatory up and go interview.
Yep. So, question number one is
Are you a friend of sanitarium?
no. Question number one is: do you enjoy Up and Go?
I must confess, I have never had up and go in my entire life.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. It's been a good show.
We had a
Very
good
well,
run.
Lucas.
We had a good run.
Yeah.
Backyard factory.
It was fun while it lasted,
No,
boys.
that's okay. I'm actually like
I don't
have
think I've
to.
ever spoken to someone who hasn't drunk enough and go.
Are you serious?
How do you do that? No, like it's kind of a Kiwi thing. Like at least once in your life, you tend to have like a box. If they were really common at camps, for me at least, that's why I had them.
Pretty sure
as
most
a kid,
Kiwis just
really.
put it through a drip and run it over an hour.
IV drip it.
Yeah.
Would that kill you?
Yes. I mean, don't quote me, but I would be surprised if that didn't kill you.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'll be honest. I didn't have I had Up and Go, but like I wasn't a regular drinker of it until we decided to start doing this podcast. To be honest, and
Yeah.
now like
It
I
had a
buy it
strong
every chance I get.
influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been a relatively regular drinker of it. Since we sort of years ago when we joked about it and we got the first name for the podcast. But I'd definitely be drinking a lot more nowadays. Probably just due to having a job and being able to
Actually
like go
afford
and
it.
buy. Yeah.
I'd give you
So-
some up and go, but I don't have any because of lockdown. I'm
I
into the shop.
I stocked up and bought
Oh,
myself.
good man,
a
good man.
I always keep. Currently,
It
I
will
tend to
probably
always have at least
disappear.
about 4 cartons on hand.
4.
4 Okay.
I mean,
don't
only
fuck-
4. What's
Well,
wrong with you?
I don't, because I don't drink it every day. But I like when I drink it, I do tend to have 2 glasses with breakfast, and so that's.
While we're
nice.
talking about up and go, do you want to tell about a little experiment we did yesterday? Was it day before?
Oh,
or
yeah.
something?
Yeah, we did a Macca's run, early morning Macca's run, just to get out of the house for a bit.
That's not much of an experiment.
No, he's.
No, but I was qualifying, and both me and Luke, we do love our hot chocolates in the morning. But so he comes over, he's got to pick me up, and we decide to have a hot chocolate. But instead of making a normal hot chocolate with a coffee machine steamer, I had some chocolate up and go on hand, and we steamed that. It was an interesting experience. Steamed up and go definitely worth a try if you haven't.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure I'll be doing it
it's
again
worth
anytime soon.
trying. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh wow, this is revolutionary either. It took a lot of the sweetness out of it, which was kind of strange, actually.
Well,
I think it would be quite good if beforehand what you did was you put it in a pot and you melted some proper dark chocolate into it and maybe some brown sugar and
dude,
vanilla
that's
essence.
so much work.
Okay, now,
Like, when
I
now
want
you've
my
really
chocolate,
got my
I just-
attention.
Chocolate, chocolate.
Sugar.
Oh,
Like,
Granted that Dan just like you're a sassy hot chocolate man. When both me and Luke tend to like, I
mean,
will
I'm
make
a
a
Milo
pot of hot
man.
if
chocolate.
there ain't little marshmallows,
Sorry,
I don't want it.
Yeah.
See, I prefer iced
Sarah,
chocolate.
Ooh, I prefer iced
ooh,
coffee. I think.
iced chocolate is good.
Iced
Well,
chocolate
I like
is,
iced
it is
cappuccino.
good, but if I'm going to get an iced, I think I'd go the iced coffee. I hate hot coffee, but I like cold coffee.
I have to be in a mood for iced coffee, whereas an iced chocolate I can probably.
What does
have
that mood?
whenever.
What does that mood look like, Daniel? You want to describe that for me?
What does a mood look like?
Yes, I
What's it
will make
mean
a
for that?
face because the podcast listeners can see that.
Uh,
No, I was gonna ask Sarah, is there a drink that you would like drink regularly, or like a energy drink or fizzy drink, or
Apart from H2O, no. Which is a bit
no?
tragic.
God,
You're not
you're
a
a
big...
hydro homie.
hydro homie.
I mean, I
What's that, like-
prefer fizzy drinks when they're flat.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's interesting.
Okay.
And plus-
You're like,
There
you're
is
like
there is a
Mariam.
few drinks like that. Coca-Cola is definitely better flat.
Ooh.
I don't like
Ooh.
Coke. I hate the taste of it.
Yeah,
I'm not a massive fan either.
lemonade's quite nice.
Yeah,
I like Sprite flat.
flat Sprite is
No,
so
the
good.
best lemonade in those countries still Lift. Don't at me. It's the
I
best
do
one.
love Lift.
Ooh, I'm not. I don't vibe with Lift too much.
I love like fizzy drinks, and I mean like the fizziness of fizzy drinks. So
You like the carbonation?
yeah, I mean I stick them in my carbonated machine and put more carbonation in it.
What?
No, I don't.
I was gonna say, surely that's
That
gonna
sounds
go.
like a severe
bang
health and safety
eventually.
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're failing the interview.
No.
I'll say that much.
Isn't that how one of our friends lost an eye? Like using like carbonating a non-compressed.
Yeah, he was doing one of the
Um,
old bottle rockets. I think it hit him in the face.
Who was this?
Yeah, well, shattered
Isaac.
actually.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
Isaac.
Isaac.
yeah.
Isaac. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
our dear friends. Well, I don't think any of us. Well, he used to. All of us somehow grew up with him, or was it just me?
No, you
we just
grew up.
hap-
You grew up friend with him. I only know him from Beach Mission. I met him at Beach Mission. Hi, Isaac, if you're listening. I
Yeah,
doubt
hi,
you are,
Isaac.
but,
Yeah.
you know.
Anyway, moral of the story: don't mess around with carbonation.
Yeah, don't
You
make
may
bottle
lose
rocket.
an eye.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the topic of this episode, like I said, is just medical inquiries.
scared,
is what I'm
honestly.
gonna call it.
I'm terrified.
I'm shaking right
We're
now.
gonna
I'm shaking
test
and
your
crying.
knowledge. Test your
Gosh.
knowledge of medical procedures, and I'm googling medical procedures now so that I can know
Oh,
what to test.
grab my book.
Yeah. Are we allowed to Google
No,
the
but-
answers then?
I think we've both got I'm not sure what Dan wants to do first, but I've got a question if you don't mind me starting.
What? Okay, I was just gonna ask what we're like talking about with the actual procedure of
Okay, yeah,
signing
that
up
follows
for-
off quite good.
to be.
Well, do you want to know
Either.
what we do first?
Oh,
Okay,
that
yeah,
might
so
help.
that's true. That's true. I forget that not everyone knows what you guys do.
That's true. I work for St. John. I work for the ambulance service, and I'm pretty much a
The
frontline
Order of St.
EMT at
John.
this point. Yes, the Order of St. John. I've got like 2 or 3 contracts with them now. I'm just a frontline officer, really.
And a contract home.
Yeah, and a contract high. They just keep coming. I
And
just,
you,
I
sir?
just can't say no.
I mean, yeah,
They
you
keep
have
on
told me
sliding
time-
in my emails.
Yeah, and apparently your personal email, not your work one.
Yeah, Ross, if you're listening to this, stop emailing my personal address, please. That's why I have a work one. Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
and what about you, Sarah? What do you do?
I'm a radiographer, aka an X-ray person, and I work in Starship Hospital.
Do you have like a
Wait, so is it
Oh.
called radiographer, not radiologist?
Yep, so the radiologist is a
Oh.
doctor who has studied for 13 years, gets paid 6 figures, and sits in a dark room all day.
a
Okay, I'll stop
radiologist?
calling you a
Yes.
radiologist
okay.
then.
Yeah, as much as like
Tis a sign of wealth.
you're
So yeah, so what do you
attributing
do then?
intelligence to me that I don't have, because I'm not a doctor at all.
what do you do then?
I think you press you're trained to press the X-ray button, right?
Indeed, I am. I'm a glorified button pusher.
I mean,
To
saving
be fair,
away.
best job.
It's half the job. Pressing
just
the buttons.
shove them in the machine, push the button.
In the machine.
Wait, no, that's how I wash my
I'd be
clothes.
quite concerned.
Yeah, so I think Dan's leading question was, how did you guys wind up doing what you are currently doing, and what was the process to get into that field like?
Well, for me, it was pretty simple. It was I started as a volunteer, which pretty much I already knew people who worked in the service, and I just said, "Hey, I want to join." So I filled out some paperwork. Went for like an interview where they pretty much just ask you the generic interview questions like, tell me about a stressful situation in your life and how you dealt with it. And after major anxiety, because
It's like
got through that.
This one's stressful.
Yeah, this horrible thing. I want to relive
This
my
one
trauma.
time I went home.
Yeah. I stubbed my
camp
toe one time.
as I was-
It was horrible. Really cried. No, just pretty much your generic kind of interview, kind of asking why you want to join, yada yada yada, generic interview questions. A very quick physical assessment, which I think is a waste of time. They're like, okay, can you do like
Really?
10 push-ups and like walk around the block, and then you're good to go.
Is that really all that's required?
I don't know if it's
That's rather
changed. I
surprising.
don't know if it's changed since like I joined up, but it was really just kind of, do your legs work? Can you like move your arms? Oh, good, you can.
Is there?
Fantastic.
Can I just jump in there? Because like I wanted to be a policeman for quite a long time. You know, like a few years
Yeah.
or
Chase
so.
your dreams, bro.
It's still
But then
something
you
I'm
chose
like
paperwork.
Do it.
I'm not necessarily interested in, but I do find the prospect interesting. Anyway, to get into that, there's a lot more physical
Oh yeah,
like,
there's
stuff
so
you
much.
have to do.
Yeah. My friend's
like,
going to the police academy.
Probably get you
Yeah,
to fight
I was
dogs
looking it
or
up and-
something.
Yeah, you had to do like a much larger number of push-ups. You had to run a certain distance at a certain amount of time, and I was like, yeah, that's not, by the way, what deterred me from joining the police
Yeah, I was
force.
gonna say lazy.
Is there any is there any physically is there a area in sort of St. John or I don't know paramedicine that people with physical disabilities can work in?
St. John has like many different like aspects to it. Like yeah, it's the ambulance service, but there's also like the health shuttles. There's the op shops. There's
Right.
I couldn't even tell you. There's lots of things that lots of different people or people with what's the nice way of putting it? Special needs, I guess, can operate. There's many sectors. Not as many as like a hospital, but there's lots of sectors across St. John that cater to all needs.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
And you see-
Politically correct for Auntie Cindy.
Did
Yeah.
you just say that Sarah had special needs, Ethan?
No, I asked what and how did you find yourself doing what you're doing?
Oh,
Sarah?
Well, it's very boring. I just went to uni for 3 years and then had an interview and got in.
Oh.
What made you
Yay.
choose?
What was your bachelor's?
Well, I had no idea what I really wanted to do. It was a process of elimination. I won't lie.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of, because I'm a Christian now, but as much as I claimed to be one back then, it didn't really matter to me much. I was just like, yeah, go to church, whatever. So I wasn't sort of thinking about, oh, what does God want me to do with my life? I was just kind of like, oh, okay, let me think. I want to do something sciencey, something medically, something that doesn't take too long at uni, something that's not a desk job, something that I still get to see some spicy gore, but I don't have to take as much responsibility for it.
Ah, yes.
And that led me where I am now.
yay!
That'll get you there. Sure. But so was that do you have to do a bachelor's of health science to?
Yeah, it's like a
Or is-
very weird specific corner degree. It's a Bachelor of Health Science in medical imaging.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's, we had a common semester. I went to Unitech because that was the only place in Auckland that offered the degree. We had a common first semester with all of the nurses and social workers and stuff, and then
Yes.
after that, it all was just
Kind of
like
splits off
X-ray
from there.
specific. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Do
so
you
you
think?
so you did actually study to do what you're doing now, pretty much.
Indeed, I did.
Oh, nice.
Do you think for what you're doing now, that degree, like what you learned at university, is relevant? Because that's one thing I'm always interested in, is how relevant those 3 years are to, or do you think, it really could have been learnt, and if you chose that job, it could have been learnt in like 6 months, 1 year, and then go into it?
Oof, that's a tricky question. I mean, a lot of the stuff you learn in uni is very relevant because we do a clinical placement at the same time as doing uni.
Yes. So like a lot of nurses then.
Yeah. Similar to that. So a lot of the things you do learn at uni are directly applicable. And of course, not a significant portion, but a lot of it isn't.
Yeah.
And that just sort of filters out of your brain the longer and further we're behind you university becomes.
Sure does.
Well, the brunt of it would be because you're not just spending 3 years learning how to press a button.
Yeah.
It'd be more like actually learning how to interpret and read the X-rays and look at like an MRI scan and go, oh, you've got a.
Oh, MRI's a 2-year postgrad. I ain't doing that.
Sorry, my bad. CT scans, X-rays,
Gosh,
whatever.
Luke,
Look
come
and be
on,
able to look at a little fraction and be like, oh, that's a medical jargon over a medical jargon.
Yeah. It does like. It's kind of hard to explain how much like study it takes because it does seem really basic. Like you're like, oh, you just like put the hand next to the camera and push the button.
Yeah.
But you have to learn all of the anatomy, so all of the bones, all of the relevant muscles, tendony things that have important bony attachment sites.
I like that, bony attachment sites.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so pretentious. I'm sorry. You have to learn physics, medical physics, how the X-ray machine works, and then in third year for specialist applications, you have to learn how like CT scans and MRI scans and ultrasound scans work as well. And then how to position for X-rays, what kind of views you have to do. So like if I just walked up to you in a radiology department and said, I have a sore hand. Like what are you supposed to do with that, you know? And learning all the different types of injuries, different types of pathologies, like diseases that can be wrong with you. So yeah,
there's like actually a lot to it.
Yeah, surprisingly.
It's more than meets the eye.
That's definitely good because I mean I can't speak. It's interesting asking people from different fields because the reality of my fields, my study is really you can be all taught it in 6 months. The university is there to teach you life skills, and then they pretty much have to retrain you on the job.
Right. What are you studying? You're studying business and.
I do finance, economics, statistics, mathematics, and psychology.
Oh my word!
But
Goodness
particularly,
gracious. I think I did too.
Yeah.
What's your guys' medical training?
Particularly,
like?
It's like the finance and the economics. I suppose tends to be a little bit more academic, but most of like finance and stuff. What you're there is a university. It allows you to get good grades and signal that you can work, and then they pick you off that, and they pretty much train you how to do it at the job. You're basically there to learn the vocabulary and how that works, and so that's really it's good to hear that the medicine is definitely required because I think it's a shame how many people sort of have to spend 3 years doing stuff they kind of just forget anyway.
Us humans, we're complicated, man. Like you look at like this like a tiny little portion of like a human body, and there's like 1,000 things that could be wrong with it, and you're just like, oh gosh.
I mean, the medical profession makes a lot of sense, just coming from my lack of knowledge. But, that when you're in the medical profession, it's not like, you're not building a house, which if you, do something wrong, you can just,
you can
fix it or whatever. With like, when you're looking after someone's health or whatever, you can't just be like, if I make a mistake, I can come back and, remedy that.
I mean, for us, it is almost like that. Like when kids come down from ED for an X-ray, and either we get it wrong or the doctor's request form has it wrong. We send them back upstairs, and they ring us, and they're like, "Oh, actually, can you do this as well, please? They're coming back down. Thank you, bye."
Good old bureaucracy.
Yeah, you had a question, Ethan, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I was just going to say, with your current, breadth of medical knowledge, what do you think is like some basic knowledge that everyone should know in terms of how the body works and like what they should be able to do? I think like first aid is probably tends to be like the general consensus. Is like most people should know basic first aid. But is there anything you would like to see added on to that?
You mean
in
wait?
terms of-
Are you talking like actual like first aid skills or like understanding of conditions / body function / whatever?
Both.
Bit
Like
of
so,
both.
like sort of. Do you think it'd be? Yeah. Do you think there's, if you were changing up, what do you think should be required to? Do you think it should be required to learn in high school? And is there anything like what would you
Is it not?
say if there was like a required health class and or like first aid class in high school
Yeah.
or something like that? What would you include in sort of like the things to learn that?
I think the first thing you should learn is if you have a nosebleed, don't tip your head back.
Yeah,
Because
yes,
that's
please.
so annoying when I see people
goodness
doing
gracious me. Yeah, I guess.
Why?
that. Because it just makes the blood run down your throat and you
Yeah.
get a big blood
Ethan's
clot.
like, oh, I do
Ah.
that. Yeah, just because the idea is that tilting forward and you're holding it closed, it clots up. Because a nosebleed, there's really thin membranes in up the top of your nose, which if they get damaged or if you bump them or something, so you pick your nose or I don't even know. Some people just get random nosebleeds, which I don't know the exact pathophys behind that.
Hi,
But it's
Jonathan, if you're
basically-
listening.
Yeah, hey, Jono, what's going on? The membrane is weak or damaged or whatever, and it'll just start bleeding. So the idea is you want to hold as high up your nose as possible don't hold the bone though, because that's pointless. I've seen people doing that as well. You want to hold as high up as you can and lead forward so that the blood sits there and clots up and it'll stop bleeding.
What
Don't
about
be
blowing
like,
it out?
oh no, because then you'll just blow out the lovely clot you've just made.
Yeah.
Remember my little brother did that once. We were going somewhere, he got a blood nose in the car and he's holding it the whole way. We get there, he's walking around and and out comes this giant clot.
Oh, yeah.
And he starts
Stunning.
bleeding all over again. It was so funny.
Oh.
It was so funny.
Pure class.
I'm not sure, but I've always taken the sort of just find a tissue, like roll it up and shove it up your nostril. Like, is that like a bad idea?
I'd say
Or
it
does that do the
wouldn't.
same
I'd
thing?
say it wouldn't be. It'll do the job, but again, tissues are sticky when it comes to like blood and stuff. Especially toilet paper's the worst.
Right.
Like,
Or if you've seen She's the Man, tampons.
yeah,
Boom.
tampons are actually a good option because they don't stick. Like toilet paper, if you put that on a wound and then the blood starts to
Right.
dry
Yeah,
a
I
little
see what
bit,
you're saying. Yeah.
you'll just rip off all the beautiful scabs
Mhm.
you've just made. So
Mhm.
toilet paper and tissues aren't the best to stick up because you'll likely just yoink the whole thing out. The tampons
Right,
are a good
okay.
option though. Like that's actually, if you have a tampon, shove that up there.
I,
if it's a bad
I do
bleed.
think you're right
That's
though.
what we made earlier.
A lot of people think that like sticking your head back is the right move. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's just
It makes sense because then you can't see the
Blood
blood
no go
anymore, so
out.
you're like, oh, it's better. But it's like, no, it's just going in a different place.
that blood
that's
is
slightly
flowing
less
straight
helpful.
into your stomach, and you're going to feel unwell.
Delicious.
Yum yum.
Like,
Get
yeah.
the iron content up.
I only knew it because I think you had actually told me that, Luke, at some point in time.
Look, I may be a professional, but there was one time I got a blood nose in the middle of the night, and I could not be bothered to go deal with it, so I just lay with my head back, and I felt so sick the next day. There was so much blood in my stomach. I felt awful. So yeah, don't do it. Not smart. Just hold it and wait 10 minutes. And
You
you'll
just
be good.
made a black pudding in your stomach.
Just actually, yeah, straight
Has
up.
anyone
there.
here tried black pudding?
I tried it once in primary
I
school.
don't think so.
I don't think so. How was it?
Can you think?
It was gross, but it was an international food thing we had at school, and they were like, if you try it, we'll give you a lolly, and I was like, I'm in.
Consider me
Give
sold.
me that lolly.
Nothing like extorting kids to try different
Yes,
foods.
foods.
yes. I'd be keen to try it, but at the
no,
same time, I don't know
no.
if I would be when it was actually presented in
not.
front of me.
No, I don't want to try.
No,
it
I
at
don't
all.
think I would.
I'm
I
not
mean,
interested.
maybe.
Certain foods, right? I'm cool with trying like new foods. I'm like, yeah, sure, but then certain stuff, I'm just like, but why?
Have you tried snails?
Like, no. To me,
Escargot.
that's also
Escargot,
about
yeah.
why.
But it's nice.
Have I?
Like cheese and garlic.
Yeah.
I thought we agreed.
I
I
heard-
thought
yeah,
we
isn't
agreed we
like-
weren't going to talk about food for a few more
Yeah.
episodes.
We can't stay off
it's,
food.
it's inevitable.
That's true.
Isn't the whole thing like escargot? You just essentially poach them in butter and garlic, and so that's all they taste. So
Basically, yeah. It's just like a seafood like calamari texture, but without the. It's a bit less rubbery, and there's no like underlying seafood taste.
It's just the idea. Of
Yeah, it's
it.
the thought of it.
Yeah,
I'm good generally with most thought of things.
I'll give most things
Actually-
a try. That's
Yeah.
genuinely considered edible. like popularly. How do you say that? It's considered popular to eat, generally speaking.
It's widely accepted.
Like you won't catch me trying mountain oysters or something like that. No thanks. Yeah, widely
You're not big on
accepted, that
seafood,
works.
though.
No, I'm not a massive seafood person.
Neither.
What about what? Okay, well, let's hybrid this. What is the worst sort of like food related thing Luke, you've been called out, and have you, Lissa, sorry, not Lissa, Sarah, have you had a sort of food related X-ray? Has someone like come in, like, how would that work?
Well, we do a lot
Is that something that can even happen?
I believe they normally X-ray people, Ethan, not food.
Ba-dum-bum.
Well, we do a lot of throat X-rays actually for like people who've swallowed fish bones. If they get stuck in your throat, so that's quite common. Well, but I'd say the spiciest one that I had was some kid who had choked on a piece of steak, and
Oof.
the X-ray was clear. So we decided to do a fluoroscopy study. So a fluoroscopy study is basically video X-ray.
Is it when they shove a camera down, or
no? You don't shove a camera down.
that's something else.
Yeah, that's a different thing. You can do a fluoroscopy study with a camera down as well, but not for
Make it even more
this
spicy.
specific. Yeah, no. And you can use dye that shows up on an X-ray. So what we did was, well, I wasn't even there, but they got the kid to stand in front of the camera sideways so you could see, and then they swallowed the dye so you could see the dye going down the throat, and then just before it went into the stomach you could see it going round this massive like thing that was invisible basically. And the best thing was the radiologist who was doing the study was a vegetarian, and he was like, it's meat karma. If they hadn't been eating steak, this would not have happened.
Oh no.
Imagine going to your doctors and that be.
You know why this
obviously
happened? It's
they didn't
because
say
you
it
ate
to them,
meat.
Yeah, it's your own fault.
You brought this on yourself.
but getting guilt
Now
tripped. by
shout
your
out all our
medical-
vegetarian listeners. We love you too.
I mean, Luke does.
It's up and goes vegetarian, right? Surely.
I don't know.
But is it vegan?
I believe
Well,
it's
actually, they've got a
It's got
new
milk.
up and go coming out that's dairy-free, gluten-free, and vegan.
So it's water.
Really?
So,
Nice. I'll drink that.
water.
So
Have some flavored water
that
on
green
us.
top milk nonsense.
And saying that almond milk is so tasty. Can't lie.
Milk
I
full
like
stop
Almond
is
milk
not tasty.
is alright. It is actually quite alright. I do enjoy me some almond.
I think it's good in let me rephrase. I think it's permissible in particular circumstances. Like, I can't name one.
Sweetened almond milk.
But I
I've had
won't-
sweetened almond milk. That was nice.
You won't catch me just going, ooh, almond milk, and drinking it down. Like, no thanks. And it'll be
Fair enough.
hell will freeze over before I put almond milk in my cornflakes. I'm sorry.
What about you, Luke? Have you food poisoning? Have you dealt with that? Like, what's a bad case of
I'm trying to think.
someone being sick?
I don't think I've been to a direct food related job that I can recall off the top of my head.
I mean, if someone swallows something they're not meant to, is that considered food related?
Oh yeah.
I've seen.
I forgot about that. It's a possibility.
I've seen people swallowing things up other holes that they shouldn't, but I haven't seen people swallowing things down the correct hole.
So many orifices, so little time.
Yeah.
It's always the way. Drunk students are the worst.
We X-ray kids who have swallowed coins all the time.
Do you get to keep
Like-
them?
Do you get to keep the coins or the kids?
Yeah, the coins, not the kids. Like,
I keep.
I
Well,
really
you
want this
swallowed
one.
a
This is
coin, so that
defective.
makes you mine. That's the
like a
rule.
memento, surely.
No, just carry the kid
surely they're
around,
the
buy
queens.
something for 50 cents and hand the child over.
Just hand the
There's
child-
a 50-cent piece in them.
Wait about 12 more hours and it'll be all yours. Remember when I was
hand the dairy person behind the counter at the dairy like a picture of the X-ray. They're like, "What's
Yeah.
this?" And then you dump the child on the
Smack.
desk.
Them.
Like,
this is my payment. He'll get rid of it in however much time. I remember when I was a kid. Do you remember, Daniel, those Lego sets where they had the really bulky steering wheels? Do you remember those ones?
yeah.
I had
Oh yeah,
it was
units.
almost the size of a 2x2, and I was like, had that in my mouth, and I accidentally swallowed the thing.
Why did you have it in your mouth?
Look, Ethan, I was a broken child, okay? Like, what can I say? I see Lego, I think, yum!
I feel like that is the least offensive orifice to put that in.
Yeah, well.
To give you credit.
Yeah. Trying to be nice to myself. No, I swallowed that good and proper. Go, Mom! Run to the sink and now it comes.
I'm trying to think if I ever
Yeah, I
If
don't
I
think
ever-
I've ever
ever
swallowed
swallowed something.
anything that I wasn't meant
The
to.
only thing I nearly almost swallowed that would have been quite detrimental was... Have you seen the Get Smart movie where he gets a blowpipe and he breathes in before he actually blows it out and he inhales a pin?
Oh, yeah.
I've done that. I've genuinely done that.
You
I
actual
made...
plonker.
I ripped open 2 pens and like took the inside and then smushed them together, so I had like a mini blowpipe thing.
Yeah.
And then you get the old thing where you like cut off a bit of shoelace and you stick a pin through it, so you got like a little blow dart thing. Anyway, I accidentally sucked in. Well, I was still like breathing in as I put it up to my mouth, getting ready to it out, and in went the pin, and I went coughed it straight out, thankfully. But I was like, goodness gracious me, that was terrifying. In my defense, I was like,
not being able to breathe sucks a lot.
have you ever
It's not a
actually...
great
has anyone actually choked here? Like, properly
No.
choked?
I think I have, yeah.
I don't think so.
And maybe not for... Not to the point where maybe you needed, like, actual medical intervention, but
No.
you've kind of swallowed something and gone,
I've definitely had
Nah.
someone like need to like help me.
oh, don't tell me it's only me
Um,
again.
No, I have, Luke.
Oh, you have? Okay.
But yeah, I've had someone need to help me because I was choking. I forget what it was though. It was food at least. Like it wasn't something. I think it was like.
I'm glad it was food,
like
Ethan. I am glad it was food.
I think it was like noodles.
There's
or
so
something.
many directions that
How do you
could go.
choke on noodles?
I
Um,
mean,
Eating hastily.
there's the
was gonna
time
say
I
the only-
snorted and, like, you know, noodles went up the wrong way. And I sneezed them back out.
Oh, yuck.
Oh,
That suggests
Ugh.
that noodles coming out of your nose is the correct way, which I don't agree with. I'm sorry.
You ever do that thing with pasta where you, like, take the noodle, you, like, swallow it halfway
No.
down and you pull it back up again?
That was my choking story. I did that by
Oh.
accident. I had to pull it all back out.
Oh, no.
Because I love food, but I absolutely hoover it down. So,
Oh, no.
yeah.
it's a curse, isn't it?
It really is.
We're,
So-
we're strange. We're
I was-
strange animals. We just.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was talking to my girlfriend
Can,
Gabby about
can animals
that.
choke?
What?
What?
Can animals choke like we can? Like most? Can most animals like choke like we can?
Isn't that what, like, a
The same way.
hairball is, essentially?
Oh, yeah, true.
Like,
I
the
don't think
hair,
that...
get,
I
like,
mean,
they eventually get stuck in the, you know, with all the
And then they,
time
but
lick
they
it up.
like cough it up. It's not really like choking though.
that's more like just removing from the stomach. Do cats have a separate stomach for hair? I don't even know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I
Biology's
didn't
way.
study cats.
I don't know. I
Really
mean,
weird.
they can't
Yeah,
choke because we haven't taught them all the Heimlich yet. So
Yeah, that's true.
they just die.
No, actually, there's another thing
But,
we have to solve. We don't do the Heimlich maneuver anymore. We don't do that because that
What did you guys do instead?
we do chest thrusts where you put like your fists
Oh yeah.
Mm.
top of the thing and you pull back there.
Does that break any ribs?
Rather break a rib than rupture the diaphragm or puncture the liver.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
true.
that's what I was told when I went.
Yeah,
'cause
it
I had to
can
do
be-
a first aid.
It can be not diaphragm. Sorry, it can be detrimental to the liver. You can burst the liver doing the Heimlich.
And that's like a bad idea.
Yeah, I feel
Livers
like.
heal. Livers don't.
I mean,
Bursting something in your body has to be a bad idea, surely.
I mean, look at it this way. Like, if you're like, oh no, sorry, I'm not going to do the Heimlich. I might rupture your liver. They're going to die if you don't do it. So, it's kind of it's like this, that, and the next thing. But we do have a new method. Which
It's just
is-
not the optimal strategy.
No, you're
Yeah.
supposed to go behind, put your arms around up at the top of their chest, and pull there instead,
Mhm.
and then smack them on the back.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people forget that like good CPR involves like broken ribs.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you see it.
Absolutely.
You see it in movies all the time, and
Oh,
they're
they're
just
so fake. That
uh.
like there are so many things about medical programs or medical scenes in TV that annoy me, but fake ass CPR is one
Is
of
the
them.
Oh, yeah.
worst.
It's just
It's
so
the
annoying.
worst.
What is like the worst sort of fake trend that's on TV that
I believe
everyone-
That
They
we
just
still
said
use
it.
paddles. That we still use paddles. Deferred paddles. Sorry, should I say? I've never even seen those
You guys have like like kind of like sticky pads, right?
Giant electrodes.
And razors in case your chest is hairy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what are they called? Like the things you find.
Surely wax
at,
strip would be better though. Just slap it on.
Nah,
Ethan, I am
too
talking.
much work,
You can
bro.
Shut up.
What happened? Steady on.
AEDs, that's what they're called, right?
Yes.
Like what you can find at Countdown and stuff.
Yeah,
Like those,
automated electric defibrillators.
yeah, those generally have razors in them.
Yeah, they should. Some hairy
And
people out
scissors
there,
for
man.
cutting the clothes up too if you need
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
It always amuses me when they have X-rays on TV because they're always film rather than digital.
Oh, what?
So you know, when you think of an X-ray, you think of the light box with the picture like stuck on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that only happens in like third world countries now.
Mm.
That's so old, and almost every medical
So
program.
America. Right?
Yeah.
And I've seen X-rays in TV programs that are actually upside down, or like a chest X-ray that's like blatantly upside down. It's just like, oh, come on now, please.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because like you watch like someone like me or Ethan, you watch it and there's very small amount of things that I notice that I'm like, well, I know that you don't do that, but that's only from like Luke or Kathy or something telling me. But I'm sure there's so much stuff that we watch and like we don't even blink, whereas you guys probably see it and you're like, no, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
I mean, it's the things that your eyes are trained to notice. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, so many
Yeah.
car people I know,
Peer
if we're
reviews.
just driving, they'll be like, oh, that's a this, that's a that. And I'm like, all I noticed was that it was yellow, like, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at.
That
I'm pretty
That is
sure
me
that
as
one
well,
had four
so
wheels.
But yeah, if I don't know, just
And before it was a Morgan.
because medicine is part of my life.
Mm.
When you see it, it's automatically like, oh, this is
Ooh, what's
exciting.
going on?
What's going
Yeah.
on? Let's have a look.
Let's
you
do a
know?
little critiquey wiki, shall we?
Yes.
One of
I still remember.
the stations I work at, we all sat. It was quiet as day in Tauranga, and there were about 4 day crews, me and someone else, all sitting in the movie room. We closed all the blinds, we shut all the doors, and we put on. I don't remember what the movie was called, but it was a horror movie set in a hospital, or a thriller sort of thing. And everyone's just sitting there in the pitch black, and then whenever something medical happened, everyone's just like, ah! What are they doing? And the whole room just erupts in pain as we watch these people do this silly thing to do with messing that up somehow.
So is paddles the most common? Because what I always noticed is when they do the tracheotomy and they like take like a hunting knife and they just like stab it through the throat.
Oh, you can do it with a pen. if you
Yeah,
know what
I'm
you're
aware
doing.
that you can, but like, isn't it always like really overdone in TV?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. I mean, I haven't... I've not actually seen a tracheostomy or crike, as it's more simply referred to, as being done.
Crike.
Yeah, it's called crike.
Is that what the Australians call it? Crike.
I don't know, you'd have to ask them. No,
No
but
laughs for you.
it's just a scalpel. I mean, you don't have much control with a hunting knife. Like, you've got precision and accuracy with a scalpel and stuff.
But
Yeah.
wait, do you actually do that though? Like stab?
Not
someone
me
with a
personally, no.
No. Yeah, I meant like.
Yeah, intensive, the
Are
postgraduate...
paramedics trained to do that though?
Paramedics, I don't actually know, because a lot of the skills we have, like, there's a lot of things I can do, but I can't do out of my own authority. I'm trained to do them, but I've got to, like, gain permission to actually
Right,
do it.
yeah.
And I'm not sure what paramedics can do out of scope.
It's a story of mine.
Right.
Nigel.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to do anything unless a doctor has requested
Yeah.
it. Because they have a radiation license and we don't.
They're the overseer. Because intensive care paramedics, they can do crike, which is the emergency airway below the thing. They can do finger thoracostomines, which is, say you've had
Isn't that where they jab it in your chest?
That's where they make 2 incisions on the side of your chest, stick their fingers in to decompress it if there's built up pressure in there. They can. Some of them are trained to perform emergency C-sections in the field. They can do a lot of stuff, actually. The only thing that's recently
not
come
you.
down is not me, no.
So what you're saying?
Is that
you're
what you want to be
essentially
trained up to
useless.
do?
I'm a bit scared, to be honest. I don't want to do all this stuff. I dread the day I have to bone drill someone. That sounds horrible enough as it is.
Just the word bone and drill is not nice.
You've got intravenous, which is the old needle in the arm, and you've got intraosseous, which we drill a hole into your leg with
You
a
got
big old needle.
Neptune?
Huh?
Neptune? No.
No.
I've never heard of that
He
one.
said intravenous.
Oh, it's a
Oh,
planet thing.
It's planet
I'm
joke.
hilarious.
That's good, Daniel.
Nice.
We get a round
No,
of applause.
It's okay. I'm hilarious. You guys are just the wrong crowd.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to? You guys made me think of something. Oh, yeah. What is something that you wish you like were able to do but you don't? And it's like to both of you. Like for example, Luke, you mentioned the tracheotomy, and like you said, you don't do that.
No, I don't want to do that. I think one thing.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that.
No.
But is there anything that you don't do that you would like to do? Like that could be fun.
There's
Fun
kind of
with air
a
quotes.
few. I'm not allowed to do IV or cannulate. I'd like to be able to do that. But I
So
think
what's that?
just the needle in the arm, intravenous IV access. The old, they stick a thing in and pump you full or whatever. But I think I would like to be able to RSI, which is rapid sequence intubation. That's where you knock someone out cold with like 5 different drugs, and then a bunch of tools and maneuvering, and you stick pipes down right the way into their lungs, so you can build a manual
Okay.
airway. I think that's something I think would be
So
pretty cool.
the things that you want to do is stick pipes in people,
yeah,
essentially.
but the mouth. Let me just make that clear: the mouth.
Yes.
And
yes.
not too far down either.
No, not too far down either.
That's like, I'm not sure if that's like a reasonable fear, but I remember like watching like inflammation of the throat, where like the throat muscles like close up and you can't breathe. Anaphylactic shock, I think it is.
Just
Is that it?
anaphylaxis, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's real spooky to me. That's probably like my number one like medical fear. Is like one thing I'll be allergic to something, I won't know, I'll find out the hard way, and I won't have an epi on me, and I will be spooked.
Yeah.
Do epis fix that? Is that like do EpiPens do a specific thing?
EpiPen is just
or
adrenaline.
will they?
It's just adrenaline.
It's just
yeah.
adrenaline.
So does that help with anaphylaxis?
Yeah. Unless in severe cases, which you'd probably have something wrong with your receptors at that point. Anaphylaxis should, excuse me, fix it pretty damn quick.
Because I know I have heard stories of people who are allergic to something, but the doctors don't know what, so they just have to constantly carry an EpiPen on them just in case they bump into it somehow and go into.
That would be like the ultimate anxiety, honestly. Like not knowing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And
They'd be definitely
then
allergic to
turns out
something,
be
but
like
not knowing what it
saffron or
is.
something, like some obscure, some obscure spice you've like never had. You get to heaven and you're like, "Oh God, what was I allergic to?" And he's like, "Oh, it was saffron."
It was starlight
the
from a
biggest-
specific star.
Yeah. It's the
That's about
hair on
right.
the underside of a pony's belly.
The comet that flies past every 6,742 years has a very particular wavelength that it produces.
I mean, especially because
That'll
EpiPens
break you
aren't
out of
cheap.
5G.
What's that? EpiPen
Like,
what?
I said, especially since EpiPens aren't cheap,
They should be.
you know. But they're
And
not.
they're cheap here relative to the States.
Yeah,
I think
relative
they're
to
what,
the
like
States,
100
they're
something?
cheap
Most
here.
medical
but that's-
things are cheap here compared to States.
Bro, you
But you
wanna
still-
you wanna
and you have
ride
to
in
get
the
them, like-
ambulance in a Band-Aid? That'll set you back like $1.5 million in the States. It's nuts.
Yeah. But like, and you have to get them like what replaced every 6 months or something.
Yeah,
or
I
every
think.
year. Every year.
I'm not
Every once
actually
in a
sure.
while.
Does the adrenaline go off, or do they just have to?
Honestly, I couldn't say.
Like, do
My
junkies just
adrenaline
go
has
after like?
expired.
Yeah.
Me
Can
after
you-
playing a game of basketball.
Do you just have to like use it and then just get like a big rush of adrenaline?
That will probably put you into cardiac arrest.
Okay. That makes sense.
Adrenaline is not good when you don't need it. It's not
Which is
just
why
like getting
constant
it. It's
caffeine is
not.
bad for you.
Yes, that too. It's not just like getting a fright. Oh, the adrenaline's pumping. It's putting pure adrenaline straight
Pure
into your
adrenaline.
bloodstream. It will probably stop your heart.
How do they get a hold of pure adrenaline? Like, do they do that thing?
Oh, they've got a very
They milk
particular.
children.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got a very particular type of bee. They farm it
Is
like.
that serious?
No, I'm making it up.
Oh, I would. Do you know how happy I would be if that was?
Yeah.
That's half the
The
fun of being a
farm, the
medical
adrenaline.
professional. is
Yeah.
You can make things up and
Just
people
make
believe
it
you.
up.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun. The number of the first like lie I always tell people is if sickness or germs come up, which nowadays it really does. I'm like, oh no, like everyone in the hospital knows that germs are actually just a conspiracy. They don't exist. And everyone goes, wait, what?
They look at you. They look at you in the uniform, and they go, what?
I'm like, no, they actually don't exist.
Yeah,
And they're like,
adrenaline.
"What?"
Adrenaline actually comes. It was.
It's really 5G. 5G guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrenaline was invented by John Adrenaline back in 1745. Yeah, he came up with the idea, and he's just been making it ever since. Yeah, you know.
My
It's very
favorite
old
one
now.
I've
Is it like-
seen of-
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Is it like Scarecrow from Batman? Like they've got that thing where like he like induces fear in
Yeah.
people,
Yeah,
and then like
he
harvests their like
harvests
fear
their
gland.
fear.
Is that how like how do you get adrenaline?
They just give people frights and then harvest their
They just
adrenaline.
spit them
And
and
then
like
they just somehow.
doink.
Yeah, they've got
Stab.
imagine like a barn, and it's just got like rows of people, and every so often like this guy in a white sheet just runs down and going, "Woo!" and everyone goes, "Ah!"
That's the
They
secret
harvest it somehow.
business idea behind Spookers, is it's just an adrenaline farm.
Yeah, conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Might have to Google that one. Into the forum,
And if
see what
it's
I
not
can
there,
find.
make it happen.
Yeah.
I reckon you could do that, eh?
Yeah, straight up. I actually have no idea how they get it. They probably make it synthetically,
Yeah.
same way they do most other hormones and stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah? Is there anything that like you don't do that you wish you did in your industry?
I mean,
Exercise? Okay.
Oh.
I'm speaking for
I
myself.
feel so attacked. I mean, in fairness, the other day our shift was so quiet that I started and finished an entire book.
Oh, wow.
In the 8 hours.
I have heard that though. I have heard that because of the whole sort of COVID situation, pretty much everything else isn't happening, and so hospitals for the most part are dead. Besides that,
It depends where you are.
it depends on your department, of course.
Yes.
But like,
So most of the just average wards were emptied out as much as they could be. So the wards were dead
Yeah.
quiet. All of the outpatient appointments were cancelled. So people who have gone to their family doctor and been like, "Oh, my hand hurts," and would go for an X-ray, they're not going to go.
right.
Anyone who has follow-up appointments at the hospital isn't coming in unless it's urgent. So the only work X-ray is quite specific in that, like, unless somebody needs an X-ray, we have nothing to do. It's not like a nurse
Right,
on the
yeah.
ward where they have a patient to take care of for their entire shift. We just live in
Yeah.
a little dungeon with X-ray machines, and people come to us if they need an X-ray.
Trust,
So-
I went there
You are the
yesterday.
bone.
It
You are the
looks like
bone
a
picture
dungeon.
goblins.
The
was
bone
that, sorry,
picture
Luke?
goblins.
We should
Yeah.
rebrand our department. To be
Yeah.
honest.
The BG. No, wait.
The Bee Gees. I like that.
No, I
The
said that wrong. It would
BPGs.
be BPG. That doesn't flow off the tongue so nice.
No.
I
BPGs.
started a
BPGs.
joke. Are we allowed to sing? Not
no,
like a
not.
joke. I mean, like
I don't know,
just
Daniel. You
talking-
tell me. This is your podcast.
Like, do you
I
get in
doubt
trouble
it.
for
Copyright
singing?
law's pretty brutal.
That means someone.
mean,
that
you
means
can't do it
someone
on
listened.
YouTube.
So hey.
I know. I uploaded a video, just a random video on Facebook that had a song playing in the background, and as soon as I clicked post, Facebook was like, "There's a song in that. You have to mute it." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry."
It was probably
I
something
guess they'd
that
have to
Sony
listen to
owned.
it though.
They're so brutal.
You wouldn't download a car, would you?
That's good.
Honestly, that clip is one of the greatest every time of all time.
And I mean, it's like the stupidest thing because yeah, everyone would.
Yeah,
I mean, not everyone.
you wouldn't download that.
No,
hot
just
new
out of the
game.
principle though. Like if it was possible, surely you would do it like once.
To download a
Download
car.
a
Just-
car.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, just 3D print it, mate. Easy.
we're
would.
probably at that point now.
Ask old Elon Musk. He's probably working on that in his basement.
Oh, talking about Elon Musk. Sorry, this is like way off topic, but Elon Musk, Tom Cruise, and NASA all have plans to film a movie entirely in space.
That does sound cool.
Excuse me, what?
So like they're gonna take like Tom Cruise to the International Space Station, put him up there. I presume they'll take a camera crew, or they'll just teach someone to film whatever. Anyway, they're just gonna film an entire movie.
You don't need a camera crew. You can
completely
just
in
like
space.
float the camera there and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
Wait, that's actually a good point. You don't even need a camera crew. Just
I
like
think
float
it's
them
cool.
around the room.
Wouldn't need a tripod.
No.
nothing.
Old mate sitting up there going, "I'm good."
They just need a button pusher, which is me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Surely
You
a
could be the camera.
buy.
You can,
Pay big
Surely.
bucks, and you get to go to space.
X-ray machine's just a
Would you
fancy
guys go to
camera,
space?
should be right.
Yeah, exactly. What would I go to space? Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd go to space. I've already
Without a
said it
doubt.
before.
Yeah. I think I
Sarah,
liked
would
it.
you go to space if you could?
Depends where specifically in space and how long for.
Right.
144 Space Road Galaxy.
In space. Space.
I want to do that thing where they take you up on a plane, like the anti-gravity
Oh,
plane,
they
where they
send
take
you
you
up
up on a
there
plane
and
and they
just,
like dive bomb.
terminal
they
velocity
just drop the plane.
straight
Oh,
down.
that would be really cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like I remember, there was some. I can't even remember where it was when I was younger. Some amusement park at somewhere, either Motat or something. But they had this room that had padded walls and it was circular. And you'd get in, they'd shut the door, and it would spin fast enough that
Oh yeah.
that you could climb up the walls.
That's
what? That
trippy.
sounds sick
What?
ass.
It was
it's
the
centrifugal force,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was the coolest thing, man. Oh,
Oh wow.
Oh, that would have been.
just
Where did you
stuck
say
to the
this
wall.
was?
I don't even remember. That's the thing. I might have been in Australia because we went to the Gold Coast when I was maybe 10. Because that sounds a bit too high key for New Zealand. But like,
Yeah. Come on, Auntie Arden, give us something interesting. We deserve it. We were good.
Mm.
Give us an
Auntie
anti-gravity
Arden.
ball thing.
Give me a- You can have a little. You can have a little anti-gravity room.
Please.
Can I have some more?
Yeah. Do you have your
Please,
fly
sir,
box?
can I have
Yeah.
some more anti-grav?
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
That would be
the
cool.
anti-grav. What about Danny? Have any more questions?
Oh yeah.
I've got more questions. Yeah, I got plenty of questions if we want questions. No, but I asked a question last. Do you want to ask a question, Ethan?
Not off the
Nothing.
top of my head. I've got like.
So,
okay,
yeah, how you going?
How
hey,
you doing?
You single? No.
Yeah, who's asking?
No, a question I was like genuinely interested in. Not that the other ones I weren't interested in, but this is one I've been thinking about since we came up with the idea. Is are there any like specific jobs or like parts of the job that like make you uncomfortable? As in like is there like Luke, do you get uncomfortable when seeing like a head trauma, or like Sarah when like they bring in someone with, I don't know, a
X-ray disease.
upside down leg?
You just mean they're in a handstand and an upside down and the rest of their body.
They come in on the stretcher backwards.
I don't like seeing bones outside the body.
I
See, no,
love
yeah, yeah.
seeing that.
I
It's
can't-
I
so
mean, bones
cool.
are your forte.
Oh, it's awesome.
Ugh. See, I can't handle that, but I'm
surely,
not in the industry.
Surely tell a
so,
story
like-
how you x-rayed the thingy in the bag.
Oh yeah, I've x-rayed toes in a bag that have been chopped off.
Yes, that's right.
That's like the coolest thing I've ever done.
Actually, yeah. Do you guys do any work for forensics? Like,
Yeah, actually we do.
Really?
Yeah. So it's all over now. But what was her name? Grace Mullane.
oh God, Grace Mullane.
Was
Yeah.
x-rayed at the hospital.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously, because I work in pediatrics or kitty land, so I have to do as much horrible things. But we just get a different level of horrible things. So we get child abuse.
Yeah.
We x-ray
Hate
dead
that.
babies relatively
Oh,
often.
that's
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is that something that you'd say you'd probably find quite hard?
It's one of those things that I feel like I should find hard, but it doesn't bother me that much.
Mhm.
Like, it's sad, but like
have you just gotten used to it?
Yeah, I mean, even the first one I did, like, my brain is telling me it's sad, but, like, I don't sort of feel, I guess, in the wise words of Spock, emotionally compromised by the mission at hand. You know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and you do get a lot of variety, because if mums miscarry, and they want to investigate as to why baby didn't survive, then they'll do an investigation as to why that could have been. Especially if they have some sort of genetic disorder, it could impact their future children if they're carriers of certain genes.
Right.
Right.
So we get like preterm fetuses that are like 16 weeks, that are just like little hand-sized jelly beans.
Beans at that point.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
you have to X-ray, and then all the way up to we had a 2-year-old who died in a hot car.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah, that was.
that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's more the story that like
Yeah.
hurts your heart than actually having to take the pictures, if that makes sense.
I suppose
Yeah.
it's a bit you're a bit detached.
Yeah, it's weird.
Probably
you
good.
kind of go like I remember Luke saying once you kind of go into work mode.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
was
not
gonna-
like just finding a dead child on the side of the road, you know. That would be very
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I thought of the question, Luke, because you had told me that before, that,
Yeah.
like, you know, you're not that a big fan of, obviously, you know, gruesome stuff, but you
I
can
think
just
if you're
kind
a
of
fan, there's
click
something
into...
wrong with you, to be honest. But yeah, it's the way I look at it, which I assume you're pretty similar, is when the uniform goes on, your whole outlook kind of changes. You get into paramedic mode, in my case. It's kind of, it's not a, ew, yuck, this is work now. You know what I mean?
For you, I guess it would be like, oh, how can I fix this?
Yeah,
Or-
it's, oh, that head's bleeding, uh-oh, got to fix that
Yeah.
up. Or leaky, plug it up. Yeah.
What do you think is what is like the simplest sort of treatment you guys do? Like, is it kind of like something like that's equivalent to that? Like, it's
Making a cup
leaking.
of tea.
Plug.
Yeah.
For the sad old biddy.
Going in because grandma's lonely and she called the truck and she says she's got this, she's got nothing wrong with her. We sit down, have a cup of tea, tell her you can't do that, give her a pat on the back.
See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Frequent flyers, we call them.
Oh, we have so many freaking flyers.
No, I think in my case, probably the easiest job for me at this point is kind of Nana or Granddad or something who's got a bit of chest pain, plug him in the machine,
Right.
take a full set of vitals, go, yeah, you're going to hospital, and trot on off, have a yarn on the way over, do my paperwork, and drop them off.
Is that easier, or is like patient transfer like chill?
Oh, patient trans, it can be, I mean,
Depends
it
on the
depends
patient.
on the job. Like for a stable patient, it's chill as. But for someone who's going in and out of particular rhythms, or they've already arrested once and you're just going, oh, please do not arrest again.
Yeah.
Sort of thing on the way. Like, I had this patient once who had a new onset of heart rhythm called AF, and which is atrial fibrillation. I can't be bothered to explain. Anyway, we're
When the heart beats fast AF.
yeah, we picked him up from the medical center because he'd been referred off to Waikato Hospital, and that's a good hour. That's a good hour drive, and I was doing observation / treatment in the back. I mean, there's not much we can do really, so I plug him in the machine and just watch. And at one point, he starts like closing his eyes a bit, and he's nodding, and I see his heart rate going up, 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 and I'm like, oh, and I was like, "You're right, mate." And he goes, "Huh? Oh yeah, I'm just a bit tired." And I watched the heart rate come down, and I was like, "Oh." Visible sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Oh, going back
Yeah, I
to
mean,
your
that's
question actually about what I don't like doing is the complete opposite to you, because you work with kids, Sarah. I don't like working with kids. It's in my
Who
field.
does?
It's my field specifically, because if mum and dad have called ambulance, they're out of ideas. You know,
Right.
like when I walk in the door, it's like now my responsibility to fully treat and assess this kid to the best of my ability, because parents have run out of options now, and I don't. That pressure stresses me out.
Yeah.
Because it's just the parents are just all eyes on you, and I'm just going, oh, good gracious me.
Yeah, working with kids is hard in that sense because you don't just have to manage your patient, you have to manage the parents as well.
Exactly.
And they have the ability to make this situation easy or heckin' hard. Like, if just depending on, like, if kids act out, you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then if the parent tries to tell them off, and you're like, oh, that's why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to manage you both.
Yeah.
Like, not just in the medical area, but like, you know, when a kid's acting out and like a parent's not dealing with it well, or at least what you think is well, it's like one of the hardest things, because you can't really step in and
No, you
know,
can't.
say
It's
something.
not your place, really.
Yeah, it's not your place, and so you
Yeah.
can't do anything
It
about
just
it.
interferes with your job. Though.
Yeah.
I think
Not their job.
there's like there's a level I think you can go to. Like if there was something I was genuinely worried about, like I see the kid being treated in a particular way or something, I'm probably gonna go out to my truck and ask for police backup just to have this.
Oh, if it's child abuse,
Yeah, if I get any kind of index of suspicion that I'm like, okay, this is seeming sus now, the way he's treated, the way what's going on here, I'll get the police involved straight away. Get them
Have
to
you
come
ever had
out.
to do that?
Not for abuse, no, thank goodness.
Oh, okay.
The only time I've had police involved was for a young girl who overdosed, and she was a frequent flyer, and she always did it for attention. And we gave her two options. It was come quietly in the cuffs, or we're pumping you full of ketamine and dragging you to hospital. So she chose the cuffs, much to my dismay. Actually, I wanted to sedate her. But...
Yeah, like I've said plenty of times, like I can't deal with like nasty body things. To put it scientifically.
That's
like,
why Dan's a farmer.
Oh, you're speaking too scientifically for me, mate. What?
It depends
like,
what kind of nasty things.
Yeah, what
it is,
nasty
though.
things are we
like,
talking here?
and I can't deal with much at all.
Right.
And it's like,
Can you deal with
yeah,
vomit?
I don't like
not
vomit.
even there. Not really.
I'd take
Like
the...
if I have to clean up some vomit or whatever, I can do it. But even then, I'll gag and like it's not nice.
Yeah.
Bro,
it's just
I
the
kinda-
smell of
I
it
w-
for me.
God.
Yeah.
The smell's
I worked as
horrible.
a.
I've got the fastest hand in the Bay of Plenty, man. That
Yeah,
patient
when
goes...
you want to catch
That
vomit.
patient goes, I've grabbed a bag and I'm there, mate. I'm so fast.
Yeah, I did my fair share of that kind of stuff as well because I did work for as a healthcare assistant in a rest
True,
home
you did that.
for a brief period of
Hey,
time.
Good old HCA.
Yeah, that was an experience. I'm glad I did the job, but I don't have any desire to do it ever again.
Especially in a rest home.
No.
Yeah.
I've been in many arrest
But yeah,
homes,
you
and I'm
get
just like,
kind of used to
bleh.
like yucky fluids or shit you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one part of the reasons I moved against becoming a police officer. Obviously, they don't have to
Right.
deal with it as much as obviously a paramedic or even a firefighter probably would have to deal with it more than a police officer.
Oh,
I
burns.
guess.
I don't like. Yeah, burns is probably like the
Burns.
thing I'm not.
Yeah, but just
Burns are
I
more
just
just
really
scary
can't deal with it.
than anything else, I think. Like, burn patients are scary. Necrotic stuff's also kind of freaky to look at.
That's
That's
dead
quite
flesh,
cool.
right?
eh?
Yeah, I transported this patient who, like, their entire like right calf was gone.
Dang.
It was
That's
their
so
leg from like their knee down was almost just the bone. There was like
That's so
so
spicy.
little
Ooh.
actual muscle there.
That's so
The
What was
surgeon
that, like drug or?
no, oh goodness, sorry, I'm having funny cables. He had the I forget the actual name, but it's the necrotic something or this that and the next thing where it pretty much the flesh just gets eaten by something. So his whole leg
Okay.
essentially got eaten away by whatever.
Like flesh-eating bacteria type thing?
It
There's
might
some
have
you can
been.
get from fungus, actually.
Yeah, it was something to do with that. It got eaten or the whole thing just died. It was one of the two. I've forgotten. But the surgeon had done a really good job. Like, it was all skin, but it was like bone thin at some parts.
Wow.
And I looked at that and I was like, that just looks weird. I was trying not to stare because I was interested, but I was like, man, that's fascinating.
Honestly,
actually,
something I find hard is
Mhm.
like when I see someone like walking around at a park or like running or something, and they've got like a prosthetic limb or something, or
Yeah.
even just at convention or anything. I find it hard not to stare, not because I'm like, wow, that's weird. Like I'm actually genuinely most of the time
curious.
I'm like curious, and I'm like, wow, good on that guy for going on a run or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have both limbs and I don't run very often. But like, I find it hard. Then I realize I'm staring. I'm like, oh wait, no, that it could probably come across quite
a bit
offensive,
rude
I
or
guess.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like me with anyone with a cast on. I'm like, what did you break? How
What
did
did
you
you
do
done?
it? What
Yeah.
did the X-ray look like?
Did I X-ray it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we get like we see kids with amputations not very often, but for us it's normally amputations from cancer. So because when you're young and you're growing, because your cells are replicating more often, you have a higher chance of developing certain types of cancer. So
Interesting. That makes sense.
yeah, so there are certain types of bone cancer that are more prevalent in kids that almost always show up in your leg. So yeah, we've had a couple of those, but there was a really two actually really horrible ones recently that were in the hip and they were in the pelvis.
Those are nasty.
Ooh.
So they had to take out every bit of bone that had been eaten up, and by the time they'd done that, there was nothing left for their leg to attach to, so they just had to get rid of it. Even though it was a perfectly healthy leg.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks to see
It's
a
a bummer.
14-year-old lose their leg.
Yeah.
It's like,
But on the bright side, prosthetics have like I was watching some stuff on like robotics and prosthetics, and they're really coming along. They're really
I mean, imagine if it was in the old days, they would have just died.
yeah,
Like
a
it's
pig
just
leg.
GG, that's it.
Yeah,
It's fun while
Well,
lasting. Peace out,
BG
sort
probably
of
for that kid.
thing.
Pig.
Sorry. Use the wrong jargon.
Yeah. I've always thought like obviously I don't want to lose a limb, but like Ethan
Really?
said, with the way prosthetics are going at the moment, like it wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. I think.
Yeah.
I would definitely rather lose a leg than an arm,
that was
Just
going to be my
'cause,
question:
like-
is which one would you rather?
because
Yeah, I think
like
I'd
sure we
rather
are
lose a leg.
getting decent with hand, but we're still nowhere near the ability of our hands. Whereas
Yeah.
feet are a little bit more. You don't need as much movement with them.
Shove a stick up there, you'll be all good, mate. Peg leg it up.
Yeah, I mean, if I lost my hand or my arm, I couldn't do my job anymore. But if
Yeah,
I lost my leg,
same.
I still could. So
Do you need both hands though?
yes.
Huh.
If you
You
try,
just gotta
like,
press two buttons at the same time.
Yeah,
turn
I didn't
two
realize it
keys.
was like a nuclear key thing.
Yeah.
that's mainly just like moving the camera needs like
Mhm,
two hands, or like one of many very tricky things to X-ray is little kids' fingers, because if you've ever
Do they
met
move
a
'em a lot?
small child
Yeah.
and tried to
They don't
hold
sit
their
still.
hand flat after they've just
Mhm.
slammed it in a door,
Oh.
it's just
Mhm.
because they
Yep.
like their instinct is to scrunch their hands up.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
because they're two, you can't explain to them, now look, if you just put your hand on the square that catches the photo, I'm not going to touch your hand.
This will all be over
Let me just
in
take
a
a
moment,
photo of
yeah.
it and then we'll be done. You have to get them to stretch their hands out. And, it's like, it's so hard. You have to be in like 4 places at once.
Yeah. It's really interesting too, like how far X-ray technology has come, even in our
heck
lifetime.
yes.
Like I remember being, this was before I moved from Auckland, so pre-10, like 8 or 9 maybe. You go to the dentist, you get an X-ray, you stand in this funky-looking machine, and it's pain, and you only get your results like a week later. Whereas then I went to the dentist again for like the first time in many, many years. This was a few years back anyway. Does an X-ray, and he's like, "Right, come have a look," and I was like, "What?" You can just show me right. You can just show
Yeah.
me right now.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like,
yeah, 'cause, like-
come have a look. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I love showing patients X-rays.
Mm.
It's like, it's so cool.
Because I remember when I was a kid, you would have to like have it sent off to a lab and have it developed and everything.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
almost in my department we have some older ladies kind of on the edge or spectrum of retirement, and then a whole lot of us younger ones. And they, like when they first qualified and whatever, they were doing film, so they would like expose a patient to radiation next to a piece of film, and then take the piece of film and go into the dark room with all the chemicals.
goodness
And develop it.
gracious. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's just in like.
Did that even work?
Yeah, it works pretty well. Like, a lady I don't really know but know of, who's a doctor, recently came back from Papua New Guinea,
Oh,
where she was
cool.
she was helping out at a Christian hospital there for a year. But she said over there they have film X-ray. That's all they have.
I guess it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
you look at them next to each other, it's like, whoa. Because I mean, on a computer,
Sure.
you can zoom in.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And the resolution's so much better.
Amplify that.
Yeah. I do giggle whenever you see that, like the CIA satellite stuff in film, and like zoom in on that, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Like, well, how did you take another picture?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
enhance at one reflection.
Depixelate it. I'll make it 1080p.
yeah, we're not that cool, unfortunately.
I wish.
Stream it on Twitch.
Yeah.
How hard is it to learn how to read X-rays?
Well, radiologists train
3 years
for
of university.
radiologists train for 13 years.
13.
So that's quite a few. I mean, if you
But
think,
but that's only 5 years in the specialty, right? Though it's 7 years for your general, and then 5 years under your special. That's Yeah. 5 years for a specialty normally, isn't it?
Something like that.
Like
I don't
I said-
know when they start to branch off into radiology specifically, but it's an important job because they are the diagnostic tool. They are the person who either finds something or doesn't.
Right.
So it's quite a big deal, and they have to learn how to read all the different types of imaging. So there's X-ray, there's fluoroscopy, which is
MRI.
video X-ray, MRI, CT scans, ultrasound scans, and like I can only read X-rays unless it's super obvious. I can't read CTs or MRIs or ultrasounds.
Yeah, because I mean, like ultrasounds just look like noise to me.
There's like pixels and fuzz. You can actually look at that and go,
ultrasounds are weird because it's a
baby.
it's a transsectional image
Yeah.
rather than just like looking at somebody. They put the probe against you, and it just like the image you see is as
Slice,
if the,
right?
Yeah, as if the probe has sliced you down the middle. And then if you turn the probe is what they call the little stick thing that they touch your skin with. If you turn the probe like 90 degrees, then if you think about it, the whole plane shifts 90 degrees, so it's cutting you in half the other way. Yeah.
Huh.
And, it's so confusing. So MRI and ultrasound and nuclear medicine as well is a 2-year postgrad.
Wow.
Have you guys ever had an MRI or a CT?
Not
I've had a
personally,
CT.
no.
Ooh.
They're neat. They're
Was that for
really-
your nose?
Yeah, it was.
Ah.
Ethan got a nose job.
I had it. I had an exceptional, interesting structure in my head, and like my doctor was like, "Wow, this is interesting."
Did he call
they
in,
dropped,
like,
like,
did he call in all the junior
study it?
doctors as well to come have a look at it? Did he pull
Yeah,
that move?
yeah, he did.
Love that,
like,
eh? Oh, look,
He was so cool. He gave me it. I asked for it. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Can I have that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you a CD." He got me off a CD.
Yeah, you can get
And
them
then-
on CDs. I mean, since I'm
USB.
just an X-ray, I always encourage, if we're not super busy, if there's not a waiting room full of people, I'll get kids to come and look at their X-ray, and if the parents have a phone, I'll let them take photos of it. Because they're so cool
but
to
he
have.
So he gave me like the file, right? And then I just downloaded like a CT viewer onto my computer, and then I could like scroll through my head.
Yeah, you scroll through and it just moves forwards
That's so
and back
cool.
or up and down. It's really amazing.
It's quite fat. Yeah, I remember you showed me, Ethan, and you were like kind
Yeah.
of telling me what your doctor said to you, but how to read it a little bit. And I was like, oh, interesting.
It was real cool.
Yeah. The only thing I have to really read is ECGs. Like, I don't know how I can recognize the stuff that's like but like the
Can you read
paramedics
echoes, or is it?
Huh?
Can you read echoes? Are echoes even readable, or is it like a test?
What are we talking
echocardiograms.
about? Oh, cardiograms. Oh, like the echo of a heart.
Yeah.
I think you can read them. I don't personally know how to, but I'm pretty sure that does show up.
I'm just sitting here not knowing what we're talking about.
Yeah. I should have seen if we should have if my my other nurse friend was available for this, because he's in his final year of nursing.
What is this?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
It's a nurse, not a nurse. There's a name for that.
Actually, the
Just
hardest
kidding. Love the
thing
male nurses.
the hardest thing I have to read in my profession is if our computer system goes down and the doctors have to hand write us request forms, and reading those is impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
doctor shorthands.
You get all those
rough.
memes about doctors shorthand, and then you get people like, yeah, that's not a joke, really.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's the truth. Those memes.
We're
are
just laughing
true,
at our
and
pain.
and it hurts. Yeah.
I know, some of the requests we get is so funny.
What I was gonna ask Sarah is, like, do you think you'll stick around, like, and try and I was gonna say level up, but that's not that's not the right word for it.
In terms of
Can you
pay
do
scale,
yeah.
yes, level up.
No, but can you do like postgraduate work while working?
Yes,
Or is
yeah.
that
So all of the postgrads you can do involve having a clinical placement at the same time. So you have to coordinate university and applying for the position. So CT is just 8 weeks of on-the-job training. But all the other ones, like I said, 2-year postgrad plus a placement. So you can only kind of go so far with doing the papers in advance. You have to wait for a position in the hospital to become available, and then you have to apply for it and you have to get it.
Postgrad is always quite like people think. I mean, there's nothing like if you finish undergraduate, good on you, you've done something hard. But postgraduate is another beast altogether.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Especially in medicine.
Half the problem, in medicine too, because like you pass the papers and you're like, oh, and now you've got 6 months of interning and waiting for an actual position to come up, and then all the actual in-house protocols and this, that, and the next thing, and it adds just like another year and a half to your actual finishing uni to actually having your authority to practice under that paper.
Well, yeah, look, are you planning, like, so you, are you still studying at the moment? You finished?
I've finished studying. I just have to do, like I was saying, I have to do the in-house stuff now. I have the diploma. Like, I'm NZQA accredited now. But I'm not allowed to practice under it with in St. John yet till I pass the actual St. John stuff.
Right.
I don't know. I'd like to go to paramedic, I think, but I want to be a really good EMT before I go too deep into the paramedic side of things. Because the main differences between EMT and paramedic is drugs and basically just responsibility or in chargeness, really. You know what I mean? Like you're suddenly like
making the calls.
Yeah, you're making the calls now. You're running the resus. You've got the defib in manual mode. You're calling when we're stopping the resus. You're deciding what's best for this. You've got to look and go, we're not even going to bother resusing this patient. It's like there's a lot more clinical judgment, they call it, and responsibility and stuff. And I'm kind of like,
does New Zealand New Zealand have do not resuscitate orders?
We do have them, yes.
Huh.
But it's a patient pre-planned thing, and we will resuscitate until we're shown a paper.
Okay.
Like people tattoo do not resuscitate on their chest and stuff like that. That's irrelevant. Unless like
wait, really?
Yeah, if you tattoo it on, like we don't know. Like a tattoo is a permanent. Like that's not proof.
No. Yeah, no, I didn't mean like.
Oh,
really,
are you like surprised that people actually tattoo that on? I don't know why, but they do. It's
what
kind
do
of
they
weird.
say? Like, please let me die.
Just let me die. It's quite a scary talk. I mean, I've had like do not resuscitate talks with like patients and stuff, but it ain't fun when it's like one of your own that you're having the talk with. That's happened before with like grandparents and stuff. It's like, oh, you think you'd be prepared for it, but you're really not. It's horrible.
I mean, that's the thing when it's not in a work clinical setting, and it's different.
It's very different. Like the last time, I've only been to hospital once for like, how do I put this, outside of work reasons in like the last few years. And I was, my body was just going, my mind's just going, am I at work? But I'm not at work because it's like my family member that's like in the ward.
That would be strange.
I know, you'd think you get used to hospitals and stuff, which you do to a degree, but then when you still go in on personal business for like friends or family, it's like, don't like this.
It is quite
for me, that's like the airport.
Yeah, your mind's in like a different mindset, I guess. You know, you're thinking about the family member or friend or whoever it is, you know, currently in the ward rather than thinking about being on the job.
Yeah.
It does make the hospital as a setting feel less intimidating though, because you're kind of used to the vibe.
It's a bit less intimidating.
Yeah, like I remember my dad had a hip replacement in his 40s, and so we went to visit him in hospital, and it's like a scary experience because it's a huge building and you don't know where anything is, and you feel like everybody else knows more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're sort of at the mercy of whoever.
And signs.
Yeah. But yeah, having worked there now, I guess
you kind of walk into most hospitals and go, okay, well, here's the ward. I know there's going to be a nurse station in the middle, and I'll be able to figure out my way around it. But other than that, they're daunting. I mean, I still get lost in particular hospitals. Like I got full and proper lost in Starship the other day. Actually, luckily, I kind of remembered the way. I took a guess and I was right. But other than that, they're mazes, man.
have you been under any anesthesia, Sarah?
No, apart from when I was born, I went to hospital once when I was 2, and that's
Right.
it. I've never been there for
Ever
any...
broken a bone?
I've broken 2 bones. I broke my finger
Oh, really?
and I broke my foot. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just gonna ask if there are any times either of you have tried, had to try really hard not to laugh at a certain situation. I'm
So
sure you've
many
Yes.
I'm
times.
sure you've got some good a good
I
story or
have
two.
a few. Do you want to go first?
Oh gosh, hang on, I have to sift through. Well, I mean, every time we get a patient with a stupid name, like,
Sarah, what makes a name stupid?
oh gosh, because it's kids, we get all the modern hipster names, and it's just
Or like Kaylee spelt wrong.
everything's spelled wrong. I mean, I can't say any because that's patient confidentiality.
Yeah.
But there are some heckin' spicy ones. One time in the tea room, all of the radiologists, we have really good working relationships with them in Starship. We're just sitting around and talking about historically the best names they've ever come across, and it was just such a heckin' good time.
Absolutely crying with laughter.
Yeah, and it's sad. The sad thing is when they're ethnic names that spell something not ideal in English.
Oh no!
And
Oh,
it's
right.
oh no.
Oh dear.
An unfortunate tragedy.
I know. It's oh, your child is not going to make it through school
Oh, dear.
unscathed.
The
Yeah.
bullying, I can smell it. It does not smell good.
No.
I've had 2.
Yeah,
I've had
I think-
2.
just quickly on that topic, naming your kid something stupid is a mean thing to do.
It really is.
It's
You need to
pretty-
think ahead.
I really dislike the way celebrities who do that.
And you need to say your kid's name with your last name and your kid's name with their middle name and last name quickly, in case it sounds like you're saying other things when they're joined together.
Yeah, and you've also got to check the
Yeah.
initials. As
Yeah,
well.
and the initials.
Yeah, because I remember reading one recently which was Elizabeth Anya, and so Liz, and obviously that became Liz, and so lasagna.
Oopsies.
I was like,
We had
Whoops.
a patient. I'm just trying to think of another name that would work for, so it's not confidentiality. But their name, for example, was Maverick Hunt. But if you say it fast, Maverick Hunt,
oh,
Oh no.
and you're like, oh no.
You look at the parent, you're like, someone's made it. Oopsie.
Someone's made a tactical blunder here.
Yes, this is a tactical misplay on my part. Oops.
lovely.
What about you, Luke?
Well-
Sorry, is there anything
I've had
that...
two jobs that come to mind that I walked in the door. Well, the one I walked in the door and I just cracked up. This was a job. It was a 5-patient weed house of a job. Five students all got lit for the weekend,
I love
and
this story.
oh my goodness, they were just cooked. They were not on this planet, man.
Mhm.
I was the second truck there, me and my crew partner. We walked in, we took one look around, and we just crack up laughing. It was so funny. That was
Yeah.
quite a long job. I'll tell the whole story some other time. And then the other one was an elderly gentleman, and it came down as a medium to high priority job. I don't remember what it initially came down as, but we kind of moved. We didn't go into lights, but we definitely moved it there. And we're looking for the address, and we locate, and we're like, this elderly gentleman walks out his front door and waves us down and goes to open the gate. And me and my crew partner are looking at each other like, is this our patient? I thought he was what? Anyway, so we go inside and we're like, hey mate, have you called the ambulance? Yes, come inside. So we go inside, we sit down, and we're like, okay, so why have you called the ambulance? And he just goes off on this story about
It all started when I was born.
pretty much, but it was how he hates the healthcare system and how it was better back in the war, and this doctor at Thames doesn't like him, and this doctor and why he doesn't like him, and he doesn't like this other doctor at this place, that, and the next thing. And he goes on, and we're like, yeah, that's happy for you, man. But why are we here? And it's kind of, oh yeah, because of, and straight back into the old. I'm a boomer who I miss old healthcare was so much better back in my day. Yada yada yada. 30 minutes pass of him just yabbering.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, why are we here? Stop talking. Why are we sitting in here, this room, having this conversation with you? And he goes, the build up and the drop to this whole 30-minute conversation of just listening to him rant on. And he goes, oh, my dick hurts. I got a pee problem. And he's like, do you want to look? Do you want to have a look? And I look away.
It's like, no, but that's my medical obligation.
Yeah, I look away from my crew partner who glanced over at me, and I knew if we'd made eye contact at that moment, it was all over. We would have just absolutely lost it. So we kind of just, she's like visibly going, trying her best not to just like cry with laughter at this, how we've been sitting in this guy's house listening to him rant on about the war for 30 minutes, all to find out he's got a sore pee-pee. And we're just like, oh,
this episode is definitely getting a disclaimer at the front.
I was gonna put one on the front anyway.
It was quite the job, man. I haven't had one that's been quite so just. What?
Is that the same job that you used for your "Would I Tell You the Truth" episode?
Yes, it was actually. Yes, it was. I'm pretty sure it was. I vaguely remember bringing it. Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh, that first story you told reminded me that we often get, because if a kid breaks their arm or whatever, we'll take an X-ray of it. They'll go upstairs. They'll get a whole lot of pain relief while they
pumped full of fentanyl.
We pump them full of ketamine.
Or even better.
Yeah, so we give them a whole lot of ket upstairs, straighten their arm out while they're high off their face, give them a cast, and then send them back down. And they have to wait until the ket's worn off a certain amount, but sometimes they're still like heckin' high when they come down. And having conversations with 10-year-olds that are high on drugs is the funniest thing. Like we like, I remember this one kid that got wheeled in through. They normally come on wheelchairs if they've got a broken arm, but they'll be on a bed
because
if they've got a
obviously
broken
the legs don't work. So
yeah, but this kid got wheeled in with a leg cast on a bed. And I was like, oh, so we're just going to take a picture of your nice shiny new cast. We'll keep you nice and comfy on your bed. And he just went, what's a bed? And I was like holding myself together, and I was like, it's what you're lying on, bud. And he's like, but I'm not lying on anything. I'm flying. And his mum just looked at me and went, I'm so sorry. And I was like, don't be. This is the best fun I've had all night.
This is the highlight of my nights.
Yeah.
I transported it. I had a similar, but it wasn't quite ketamine. It was a lower level one of methoxyfluorine, a green whistle. Pumped this 18-year-old full of the stuff. And she's just yabbering the whole way to hospital, telling me all the dumbest things and how she's feeling, and all this, that, and the next thing, look at the street lights as we're driving down the road. And I'm trying to do my paperwork, and I'm also trying not to piss myself with laughter rather. She's just like got no filters on her. She's just talking, and I'm sitting there going, I'm just like, yep, okay, sorry to hear that, or that sucks. And I'm trying my hardest to like stay professional.
Bummer, dude.
And man, that's such a bummer. I'm literally trying, I'm holding back tears of laughter, trying to stay professional. It was so hard. People on like high levels or strong pain meds are just the funniest thing.
I know. I had a kid trying to do the longest year boy while I was trying to X-ray him. That was really fun. And we also had this other kid who was like 18, so not really a kid, but he'd dislocated his shoulder and he was in resus, and they'd given him a whole lot of pain relief. And we legally have to ask for 2 forms of identification, so a full name and a birthday, to make sure you've got the right patient. And we asked him what his birthday was, and he confidently gave his answer. And his mum was like, "Hun, that's not your birthday." And he was like, "Oh yeah!" And like started laughing his head off, like just laughing. It was just iconic.
I've always wanted to see
actually
someone where they've been drugged or whatever.
And the best part of that story was while we were X-raying him, we accidentally put his shoulder back in. But he was so high, he just kind of went, "Ow." And then when the doctor tried to put it back in, he was like, I think it's already back. And then
you guys are going, "Oh, that's weird."
I know, I was a student at the time, and the the lady who was with me, the radiographer, was like the head honcho of X-ray ED, so it's not like she didn't know what she was doing. And she just looked at me like, because it was her that did it.
Elbows you like,
Yeah, we're like, we'll just go now.
Never speak of this again.
well, there's your. I think we'll be upstairs where hopefully you won't need us.
Yeah, neat.
Might go home early tonight. Actually, I've decided.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'll clock off now. Thank you very much.
It's time to head home.
I think I'll go X-ray this coffee mug.
Oh, actually, one of the funniest things that happened at work was we had a Secret Santa last year, and our radiologists, who, bearing in mind, they've studied for 13 years, they're very professional doctors.
Only 13.
They went into the nurse's office and stole all the Christmas gifts and took them into the fluoroscopy room and X-rayed them all to try and guess what they were.
I mean, if you have the tech available,
why would you not?
Why would you not?
It was really cool, actually.
Ethan was talking to me about this. Sorry, before we got recording, Ethan was talking to me about this. Just talking about like how, you know, when you go to a hospital for someone like me or Ethan, you know, everything seems like all professional and everything. You know, everything's like the way it is. You go up to the desk, you know, blah blah blah, and then behind the scenes you hear these stories about people just like you know, just messing around and being silly.
Oh heck yeah! I've done some horribly unprofessional things.
So have I. I mean, I can't leave it.
It's the Kiwi way.
It really is.
It's the best. Wouldn't have it any other way.
I know. Like
that's what makes this country great.
Oh, it really
Sponsored
is.
by that and Sanitarium.
Yeah. Sponsored by Auntie Cindy.
Yes, Cindy. Yeah, the girls. Let's go.
Feels good, man.
Like, I don't want to get political. So, actually, no, I won't.
What the fuck is that song?
I was going to say something. I was like, no, even that's too political.
Oh,
I'm gonna grab that steering wheel with both hands and we're making a hard left.
Yeah.
Actually, what that was also a political thing. Come to think of it.
Yeah.
Oops.
No, anyway, I think this has been a good conversation. I've had
It's been a fun conversation.
I personally quite enjoy like medical war stories, as I like to call them.
Oh yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I just want to just like, do you guys enjoy working where you work? Like, do you enjoy your job?
I
so
much.
much.
Do. I love
Okay.
it.
It's very good to hear.
That is.
Like we get requests for broken arms that say obvious deformity, and I'm like, I dibs that one. But the funny thing is, almost all of us, even the oldies, are like, ooh,
What's this?
what is this deformity?
No, that's good. I think especially in areas like important areas, it's like, I don't know. It's just nice to hear about people enjoying their job. You know, like because obviously we need paramedics, we need radiologists, and
X-ray people,
radiographers.
There you go. That's the
graphic illustrators,
radiographers.
It does depend on your workplace, though. Like so much of your enjoyment of your job depends on the people that you work with.
That is true.
Very true.
And our team is the second best.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining us, Sarah, on this episode.
Thank you for the
it's good
invite.
Yeah,
It's
no
great to have
problem
an
at all.
actual
Thank you,
guest.
Luke. Oh, sorry. That was savage. I made me laugh.
I beg your pardon.
Ignore him. Thank you, Luke, for joining us on this episode.
Oh, my pleasure. Hope you and the listeners learned something for once.
Yeah. I know I learned stuff. Maybe not. You know, not.
If you learned
important
anything,
stuff,
it's don't tip your head back when you get a blood nose.
Yeah, I was just to say that's exactly what I
the key fact. If you're going to take away one thing from this podcast, it's don't tip your head back when you've got a blood nose.
That's
the Heimlich's outdated.
Yeah, don't do the Heimlich and blow up a liver.
Although if you're alone and you're choking, actually, if you run into something chest first, that's effectively the same thing.
Well, don't they tell you to like hug a chair or something? What, like thrust your chest into a chair?
Bro, at that point,
whatever?
just do whatever comes to your mind and just pray for the best.
Yeah, I heard this insane story of some woman who was choking in a public place and nobody helped her. Everyone was too embarrassed to go and help her. So she got up and there was like a handrail and she just ran into the handrail and hit it in her chest, like right in the chest, and it dislodged it and she survived.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Radio.
Yeah. So if you're in public and you see people dying, you know what you should do?
Don't be like them.
Buy them
Face
some up
up.
and go.
Yeah.
That will save any problem. You can quote me on that.
Miracle elixir.
Absolutely.
Sarah, do you have any social media that you'd want people to follow? Yes, no?
I mean, not really. My Instagram's private,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
like-
Same here. No, that's cool. Well, thank you for joining
Yeah.
us, and thank you everyone for listening. And
All
the
you
last
have
thing to
say
do
bye.
is, goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Fairly well,
Yes, it is.
ogres.